Hello, everyone. I hope you're staying safe and healthy. I just finished a whole bunch of masks and learned some things and thought I would just share with you the things that I learned from my mistakes and then from my ultimate success. So I thought I would just give you some tips on these masks. So first of all, I found I tried a couple of different patterns, and I'll give a link in the description to this pattern. This is the one that I really like the best. It really covers the face well because it can stretch down and fit, whoever is on it. It has a wire in the nose piece so that it pinches in and so your glasses don't fog up. And it has these really, well, that's an improvement I'd made is these really soft, nice earpieces. So I'll give a link in the description to that. I'm also going to give you a link in the description of how to make this elastic. This is actually just strips of t-shirt. And it is so soft and so comfy, so much better than the elastic I was originally using. I discovered it on accident because I ran out of elastic and I couldn't get any sent to me in time. And so then I did some research and learned how to make it out of t-shirt. And now that I have done it, oh my gosh, not only is it so much cuter, look at this, you could do it in all these cute colors, but it is just way more comfy on the ear. So I'll also put a link in the description to a video on how to make that. See, here's my, excuse me, here's my, this is one t-shirt each, made a whole ball of this. So that's that. The other thing I learned is about the wire. The video doesn't show you how to put the wire in. It's just a wire that before you close up this hole, you stick the wire in and you, actually the hole's on this side. So you put the wire in this side, put it in there so close to the wire, being careful not to hit the needle. I did that 5 times and broke 5 needles, so decided to stop trying to get it so close and just leave it like this where there's no chance I'm going to break another needle because I couldn't buy any more needles, that everybody's out of them. But anyway, then after you sew that, then you can sew the other side closed. What I found is when I first was making these, I happened to be using this stem wire because it's what I had and it worked great. It is 18 gauge wrapped stem wire. I got this at Michael's at the curb pickup. There. Anyway, but at first I had it at home, so I just used that. And then I ran out, and so I thought, well, I'll get something else. So I got this. And this is not as good. It's still 18 gauge, but it's not wrapped. And it doesn't feel as good on your nose. It feels uncomfortable. And it's just not a nice sturdy feel. And also if you bend this like 2 times, it breaks, whereas these are much more resilient. I did not use pipe cleaners because they rust, and I want these to be very washable. By the way, I have washed mine in very hot water on sanitize, and they came out just fine. So these are great for wash, and that is also why you should always pre-wash your fabrics. Definitely pre-wash your fabrics and try to get kind of similar types of fabric together. If not, they may shrink differently. Like on this one, I didn't take my own advice. This one's got a like a sweatshirt on the back and then a cotton on the front. But I pre-washed this and pre-pressed it with steam so that it was pre-shrunk basically. So it should be fine now. And this sweatshirt fabric is super soft on your face. So that's why I went ahead and did that. But you want to make sure you do that. If you use new fabrics and they're different and you wash them together, they're going to shrink differently and it's going to be all tweaked. The other thing is always try to make the sides a different color. Don't do them the same because you want to remember which side you use toward your face. And you want to always use the same side toward your face, at least until you wash it the next time, right? Because you don't want to be putting, the part that you breathed on the outside or vice versa. So that's that. Now the wire, like I said, this wasn't good. So then I went back to the stem wire, the 18 gauge wrapped stem wire. And it is the best because it's so easy. It's 18 inches long. So you just cut it in half and it's the perfect length. And then you just curl the ends, because that keeps it from poking through on the sides of the mask. So I just cut it in half, curl the ends, and this is perfect. It's washable, it won't rust, it doesn't break easily, but it's bendy enough that it's easy enough to bend, and yet stiff enough that you only have to bend it once and it's formed to your nose and it stays that way. Okay, the other things I learned, besides this is better elastic and this is the better wire, is that if you make these, when you're sewing them, do it kind of like quilting. I don't know if you've ever quilted before, but like if this was the wrong side out and I was sewing these two together, rather than taking it out, cutting it, start the next one, cutting it, that wastes a lot of thread and it wastes a lot of time. So when I was sewing them, I would just sew right off the one onto the next and all the way down until I had this big long strip of them together. And then you can cut in between and it saves tons of thread, tons of mess of thread all over, and a lot of time. So that's another thing I did. I did these all assembly line method. These are just need wire to that point. But you can make a lot by doing all one thing and then do the next step. You'll make far less mistakes that way. It will be much, much faster because you get really, really good at doing that same step over and over and over and over and over again. And then when that step's all done with all of them, then you go on to the next step and do all of them with that step. So all I need to do in this one is, you can see it's still got the hole. I need to take one of my wires and I put it in the hole, and then I put it on that side, and then I'll sew along fairly close to the wire, but not too close to hit it. And then I sew this closed, and then those will be all done. Those just need one more step. So I think those are the things that I found. Oh, also, if you did want to put a filter in these, you can. You would just take a vacuum filter and cut it to this shape and size. I need a GoPro. And then you can just stick it in there. So these can be used with a filter. And then you just have to, you could just, you could sew it closed, or just like take a couple of stitches so that you could take the filter out if you needed to. So that's that. I think those are all the major things that I learned. I didn't want to use twist tie or pipe cleaners because they rust. I think I said that. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful for any of you that are making masks, and I hope you stay healthy and have a good day.